So a lot of people are so focused on work and so focused on family and focused on their friends that they don't focus on them. And I will tell you a strategy that I implemented in my life that actually changed my life forever and ever and ever. And that is my morning time that I spend with just me, that nobody else can touch. Not my wife, not my kids, no friend, nothing comes in the way of this. And that sounds really, really selfish. And I had this conversation with my wife. And in the beginning, she said, that is really, really selfish. And I said, you are going to get a lot better version of me.
Hello, fabulous person. Beate Gillette here, the Growth Architect. Welcome back to the Business Growth Architect Show, where we bring you cutting-edge business strategies from some of the world's most successful entrepreneurs, business transformation experts, and visionaries who want to help you to scale your impact. Look for one tangible strategy that you can take back and implement right away. And now back to our guest. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is your host, Beate Gillette of the Business Growth Architect Show. Today, we have a very interesting and, may I say, slightly colorful guest, and his name is Jay Adkins. Jay, I'm so excited to have you here.
I'm so excited to be here with you, Beate. I appreciate the invite.
Absolutely. So please introduce yourself to the audience and tell them what they need to know about you.
Well, I'm never really great at introducing myself, but I'll give it my best. I'm Jay Adkins. I am a serial entrepreneur. But before that, I'm a family man. I never thought I would be saying that in my lifetime, but I met the most beautiful woman and I have a great family, and it totally flipped my world upside down. And my purpose is completely different than it was 5 years ago. And now my biggest purpose is I want to empower as many people as possible during this lifetime through, speaking to them, writing for them, social media, whatever it is. I just want to impact lives because I just feel like right now in the world that we live in, people need it more than anything.
I love that. Our tagline is to help visionaries and leaders to scale their impact. So we are right there with you. So you do a number of different things. So you are a real estate investor, you have an insurance company. So tell us a little bit about sort of your business world.
So I've been in real estate and insurance for 20 years. I actually started insurance and then went to real estate thinking it would feed my business, and then realized I couldn't really manage the real estate world, showing properties and running an insurance agency, and I couldn't be great at both of them. So I decided to go all in on insurance and started investing in real estate, and been pretty successful at it over the last 20 years, which has led to me creating products for those industries and then speaking and writing books and doing those types of things. So I've had success, but it's all been a lot of hard work and a lot of great connections that I've made along the way.
I love that. And here we go. We immediately start with the honesty. I always sort of jokingly say that sometimes it's really hard for me to see the internet marketing sell of somebody in an oversized sweater with a glass of Cabernet sitting in a kitchen telling you in only 10 minutes a day, you're going to make an extra, $100,000 a month.
Yeah.
Jay just laughs. The truth of the matter is you need a strategy, and then generally it tends to be work until you get to the point where you got it figured out and scaled it to such an extent that the business runs, but you're still going to need to make a show. So Jay, let's talk about strategy. And you already alluded, you already alluded a little bit to that you did one and then the other, and then you had to make a decision. So how important is a strategic approach or strategy for you in running your business?
Yeah. So strategy, when I hear the word strategy, what comes to mind for me is systems and processes and being able to measure them. And so most people just kind of go at something and they have no goals in mind. They have no strategy or systems or process to get there. And then they're not measuring what they're doing along the way. So I believe it's really, really important to have good systems and processes before you implement your strategy. Because if not, you're not going to know what's going right and what's going wrong if you're not measuring, how your systems and processes are working. But I also feel like most of the time people give up before they've even given their strategy time to work. And I usually, it's usually 90 days. Everything is 90 days in my head. And what I mean by that is if you start dating someone new, it's going to take 90 days for them to reveal themselves to you. If you hire a new employee, it's going to take 90 days for them to reveal themselves to you. If you have a new friend, it's going to take them 90 days to reveal themselves to you. If you have a strategy, it's going to take you at least 90 days if you are implementing systems and processes and tracking it to see if that strategy is on track and going to work. But most people say, it's not working at the 30-day mark, 60-day mark, and they give up right before they're ready to get to the finish line. So I think, you have to give things time before you give up. But you also need to realize that at the 90-day mark, if you're not hitting your goals even halfway, then you got to figure out, what do I need to tweak? Not completely change, but what do I need to tweak to get to the next step?
So I like this very much. This idea, here at the Business Growth Architect, we talk about you should be prepared to think about 4 strategies per year. And then, so we are like right there on the quarter. So every quarter you should be running a strategy to figure out kind of what works. So it sounds like you are very much aligned with that philosophy. For you, it's just 90 days. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to start a strategy, 90 days. How would you help someone who says, Jay, that sounds really good, but man, I'm struggling to even come up with one strategy. Like, how do you come up with these strategies again and again and again? Is there a tip you can share?
So when you're trying to figure out a strategy, first you need to figure out what you want to accomplish. What's your goal? And then, like the 90 days, I break everything down into quarters. So you're right. There's 4 90-day sections in a year, right? And there's also 4 quarters in every single month and every single week and every single day. And what I mean by that is the way I break my strategy down to figure out how I can digest it, because human beings are overwhelmed by big numbers. So if I'm going to break my month down into 4 quarters, there's 4 weeks in every month. That's 4 quarters in that month. And then if I'm going to break that week down into quarters, there's 4 days that I break my 4 days I break my week down into. I do everything Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Friday's overtime for me. And then I break my day into 4 quarters. If I'm working 8 hours a day, I'm going to work 9 to 11, 11 to 1, 1 to 3, 3 to 5, and I'm going to check in all along the way and see how my strategy is going. So I'm going to break every part of my day down. And the reason I do that is because when you're building a business, it's a game, right? I like to gamify everything. And when you watch a football game or a basketball game, you watch the 2 things in that game. You watch the time and you watch the score. And those are the 2 things you pay attention to the entire game. And in your head, you're strategizing for that team. If there's a quarter left, they have 15 minutes left to score 2 touchdowns. They have 15 minutes to come back 10 points. And that's the same way you need to look at your business every single day, is you need to break it down. And at the end of a quarter in a day, let's say, if it's 9 to 11, at the end of the quarter, what happens in a football game or a basketball game? Everyone goes to the sidelines. They have a conversation with the coach. They look at what they did the first quarter, and they come up with a different strategy for the second quarter. Either it's more offense, more defense, whatever it is. But if you're constantly looking at your game, instead of getting to the end of the month or the end of the quarter and saying it didn't work, but you didn't look at it as often as you needed to, and you also didn't gamify it. I like to gamify every single thing I do, because now it becomes a competition, but I like to bring my team into the game as well. And then we keep scoring that game, right? So if I win the month quarter, I get points. If I win the week quarter, I get points. If I win the day quarter, I get points. If I win the hour quarter, I get points. And whoever wins at the end of this 90-day quarter can also win something for the team, or something from the team, or it could be money, it could be time off, it could be whatever. But if you gamify things, your strategy is a lot more fun, and you can break your goals down that way too. So I'll give you a really quick example. So if I have a goal for the 90 days that I want X, whatever X is, let's say I want 100 new customers, right? So how do I break that 100 down? Well, I'm going to break it down to each month. There's 3 months in there, right? So how many do I need each month? I need 33. I need 33 customers every single month. Well, I'm going to break that down to the day. How many customers do I need each day to get that month number, or each week? So each week, 4 divided by 33 is 9. I need 9 customers, because I'm always going to round up, right? So if I have 9 customers, how many customers do I need each day? I got 4 quarters each week. So 4 divided by 9, I need 3 customers every day. So now I'm going to break it down now to your team. It's not like 100. We've never got 100. How are we going to get 100 in this 90 days? We just need 3 customers a day. That's all we got to focus on, is getting 3 customers every single day. And that's how you can implement your strategies, but also bring your whole team along because they're playing the same game for the same end game for the same strategy.
I love that. So I'm going to point this out for our listeners just to make sure that we're driving these points home. So the key for you in strategy, or the way you approach strategy for you and for your team, is to take sort of the end goal and reverse engineer it, and then make it in as small as steps as possible, so that, the proverbial elephant, one bite at a time, that if it's 100, that looks like a big number. But if it's 3 a day and it's a team, that is not, that's not impossible. That is very possible. So the power for you in the way you design strategies is to make sure it's gamified, which means that there is a reward, a competition, that, people get recognized for when they reach certain milestone, to keep the morale up and the engagement up. And then it's also competitive, because then if the team wins, the team gets something, so nobody can fall off. Have I summarized this well?
2 more things. It's trackable, so you know where you are at all times, and it's also accountable. So everyone has accountability in this game as well. So everyone's accountable for numbers as well as you're going along in this thing. So it's not like we need to get this and it's just this big pie in the sky number. It's actually accountability, that you're creating this accountability. And everyone, you do this. And I have a system called GPS, a goal planning system that comes along with the GPA, which is a goal producing activity. So not only the strategy has to have goal producing activities, what do you have to do every day? So that 100, whatever your business is, let's say you're in the mortgage business. Well, how many people do I need to talk to? Well, what's your close rate? So if your close rate is 20%, because rates are really good right now, then how many people I got to talk to get to that 100 customers in that month? How many, or the agency, how many, or real estate agencies, or car salesmen, or insurance agents, or network marketers, whoever it is, the GPS is, this is what my goal is, this is what we're going to get. And then you're going to break the GPS down with the GPA. What's my activity? So that activity is the accountability piece. What does everyone have to do? How many people do we need to talk to? How many people do we need to follow up with? Whatever your strategy is, whatever your business is, you can create this GPA and GPS inside your system where everyone knows. Because that's the problem with most businesses' strategy, is everyone doesn't know. Everyone doesn't know exactly what the strategy is. And then when the end game, if you do win the game, what is it going to do for the company, and what's it going to do for, more importantly, what people don't look out for is the employees, the people that are doing all the work. What's their benefit to implement your strategy? And that's where people get left out, is, the company needs to grow. What do you mean? The CEO needs to make more money? Is that what you mean? What's the strategy for the people that are actually going to get you there, and how's it going to benefit them in the long run?
So this is something that I find really fascinating, that you said that, because you are building that into your strategy, so that it is not a vague place that we all get to, and then something is going to be happening that's going to be amazing, but we don't know what it is. So you are clear in the way you communicate the strategy and in the GPS and the GPA, so that people know exactly what's expected from them. But furthermore, if they reach it, what do they get?
Correct. Yes.
That's so powerful. So let's talk about your favorite strategy. What strategy are you going to share with our audience today?
So I'm going to surprise you today, and I'm going to share a strategy that most people don't spend any time on, and that's them. So a lot of people are so focused on work, and so focused on family, and focused on their friends, that they don't focus on them. And I will tell you a strategy that I implemented in my life that actually changed my life forever and ever and ever. And that is my morning time that I spend with just me, that nobody else can touch. Not my wife, not my kids, no friend, nothing comes in the way of this. And that sounds really, really selfish. And I had this conversation with my wife, and in the beginning, she said, that is really, really selfish. And I said, you are going to get a lot better version of me all the time. My employees are going to get a lot better version of me. Everyone in my life is going to have a lot better version of me present. And that morning routine, 7 days a week, without fail, includes me meditating. I learned how to do TM. And, for listeners that, think meditation is kind of like this hokey little thing, I will tell you, I was one of those people.
Mhm.
And I went to learn how to do TM because I was stressed out and I was starting businesses and I had anxiety. And I felt every single morning I woke up in the crux of me having 6 businesses running and doing really, really well and wanting to keep everything afloat. I felt like I had an 800-pound gorilla sitting on my chest every single morning I woke up. And I said, I got to do something about this. And I learned how to do TM. I do it 20 minutes every single day, right when I wake up. I look forward to it because I'm not jumping out of bed and running into my day. And I do it 20 minutes at 2:15 every single day. The other thing that I do is I read 90 pages of a book every single day. Actually, 3 books, 30 pages of 3 different books every day. If you're not a reader, I will tell you, start with 7 pages every day, religiously. Just have a conversation with an author. And I'll tell you why. It's the only time you don't have ego in your life. Everyone has ego. I don't care who you are. But when you're having a conversation alone with an author, you can actually look in the mirror and know that he's talking to you or she's talking to you when you're having that conversation with that author, reading and learning from someone that is going to shorten your learning curve in 30 years of what it would take you to learn what that author has learned over 30 or 40 years of his life. So I read 90 pages. I don't read time. I read pages, because if you read to a destination, it's a lot easier than getting distracted when your cell phone goes off and you're like, oh yeah, I've been reading for 20 minutes. So start with 7. I started with 7 pages. I hated to read. I'm telling you what I've learned in my life in the last 10 years by reading, who I've become. It's been through me reading. The other thing is I work out every single day for an hour. If you want to start with 20 minutes, do 20 minutes. Just go for a walk. It's going to help you process the book. It's going to help you process your day. It's going to help you put you in a good place for your family. It's going to help put you in a good place when you go to work. I will tell you that strategy. I know you're looking for something different. That strategy will change your life. You will be a different person. People will not recognize you. My wife never messes with my time. She knows what it does for me. It's made me Superman in my business. It's made me Superman at home. It's made me Superman in all aspects of life because of those 2 hours. And you can do an hour. You can meditate, journal, whatever, pray for 20 minutes, read your 7 pages if it takes you 20 minutes, and then work out for 20 minutes. Just get the blood moving. If you do this, if you're listening to this podcast, I promise you, this will change your life and you will create better strategies. You'll be more creative and you're going to learn from people every day. And I'm saying 7 days a week. I'm not joking. 7 days a week. If I'm on vacation, I still do this. And I get up at like 5:30, 6 o'clock to make this happen before my daughters wake up. But it's worth it and it'll change your life.
That's so powerful. For me personally, I don't quite do 2 hours, but I do listen to a podcast every day. And so I believe in the starting the day with a particular type of mindset, because we get so caught up in, you call it the ego. And I think it's also other people's crap that we hear and see. And you see somebody's Instagram and they have more followers than you do. And then somebody talks about a strategy that they did and how much money they made. And then you go like, man, why can't I figure this out? So there's always so much noise going on in your head at all times that
Such a great way to put it. A lot of noise.
a
A
lot
lot
of
of
noise.
noise. And that's
Yes.
another thing. I do not look. So I have my phone set that I don't start getting any kind of notifications whatsoever until 9 a.m. So my strategy with this is, if it's 911, you should call the fire department, a police officer, or an ambulance, because I'm neither of those 3. And there's nothing I can do about it. As long as I'm with my family, which they're always here with me in the morning, there's nothing I can do for anyone else to solve your problem. So I'm not going to look at social media. I'm not going to look at email. I'm not going to look at text messages. I'm not going to look at any of that, because like you said, such a great way to put it, it's just too much noise to start your day with. I mean, I know people that wake up and the first thing they do is look at their phone. And I look at my calendar before I go to sleep to know what I have the next day. And that's the last thing that I do, is look at my calendar so that I know what my next day is going to look like. But I never, ever schedule anything before 11 a.m. because
That's
that's
good.
my time.
I like that. I should tell my team, 11 o'clock sounds really good to me. So you had mentioned something that you said, that in the beginning, your wife thought it was selfish. How did you get over that hurdle, right? Because I think a
It's a great
lot of
question.
times, especially in relationships, and this brings me sort of to the more personal part of our conversation, a lot of times we act because we believe other people have expectations on us and we have to fulfill them. How were you able to put yourself first without feeling guilty about that?
This is a great conversation. Can I talk to you about expectations real quick?
Please go ahead.
Okay. I know we
This
have
is your time.
we have a limited time, but
No, we can always go over a few
okay.
minutes. I do make exceptions.
So you basically hit on exactly why I was able to overcome this. And I hope this will help a lot of people, because I truly believe that there's only two people that you're allowed to have expectations from. Only two. And those two people are people that you pay money and yourself. And that's it. Nothing else. There's no, now the vows that I took to my wife, those are unspoken expectations. I will always honor those because I took those before God in church, in front of her, in front of my children. I will always honor those expectations that are there. But any other expectations, I have none. I don't have any of anybody. And when you do, you're going to be constantly let down because no one's going to live up to your expectations ever. Now, when I'm paying someone money, an employee, I can have expectations because it's a contract. I'm paying you money to give me a service. If I'm going to a restaurant to get a $50 steak that I could pay $15 from at Whole Foods, I expect it to be cooked the way that I like it and served with a smile because I'm paying for that, right? If not, I'll just cook it at home and serve it to myself. So as far as in other people, the thing about expectations is that we have 44 or over 44,000 subconscious thoughts a day. The likelihood of me and my wife thinking exactly the same thought, exactly the same time is like me winning the lottery. It's not going to happen. Now, I always joke with my wife and say, women think men are psychic. We're not. If we were psychic, we would have won the lottery already.
Were you at my house yesterday?
So I can't read your mind. And so the thing with expectations is when someone doesn't live up to your expectations, what happens is people give it meaning. And there is no meaning. There's absolutely no meaning whatsoever. Like if I come home and I've had a rough day and you've had a rough day with the kids or you had a rough day at work and I walk in the door and I'm not as affectionate as I normally am, it's not because I don't love you anymore. But my wife says, well, back in the day, you didn't used to be like this. And I'm like, well, I didn't have the day or week or month or year that I've had this year. And it has no meaning. I promise you, like, I'm not thinking what you're thinking right now. Like, we're just not on the same thought pattern. So you have to be real careful with expectations. So in the beginning, I had to have this same conversation with my wife. I said, this is what I'm going to do. And this is what I always tell people. Like we started this podcast, give me 90 days, 90 days. And I want you to see the transformation. I want you to see who I become in this 90 days, because I truly believe that at the end of the 90 days, you're going to like the person that you see. Can you give me 90 days to do this? And she said, yes. And at the end of 30 days, she was like, don't stop. Don't stop doing this because you were much better. You're always in a great mood. You're never stressed out. And that morning routine for me is something that was really important for me to try because I had a mentor of mine say, do it for 90 days. And I said, I will. I'm going to do it for 90 days. And he said, let me know at the end of the 90 days. And that's what I do with people. So I had to have that conversation with my wife. And sometimes when we're in an argument and I've let her down because of an expectation that she had, I will simply say to her, it sounds like I didn't live up to your expectations and you're giving it meaning. And right away, she's like, you're right. I am. And so, and we've given each other permission. We've been married for 5 years now. Now, this didn't happen immediately, right? I mean, it takes time when you're in a marriage, but you have to communicate with that person and let them know. And when I say expectations, I don't expect anything from her. Nothing. Not one thing. I don't expect you to cook me dinner. I don't expect you to be in a great mood every day. You weren't in a great mood every day before we met. Like, people aren't like that. That's just not how life is. So if she's in a funk, I have to allow her to be in a funk, but also she has to allow me to be in a funk because sometimes we're busy or we're distracted or we're stressed or the kids, like yesterday, my daughter was, just crying nonstop. And I just kind of got a little impatient and, she had to put me a check and I was like, you're right. I've just, the crying, incessant crying, over nothing kind of got to me a little bit, but some people have to put you in check. So expectations, that's what you have to set up with people. And you have to have that conversation with your spouse. Now, when you have that conversation, what I will say with anybody is timing is everything. It can't be in the crux of a fight. It can't be in the crux of an argument. It can't be in the crux of a disagreement. It's got to be when you're having dinner and you're in a good place and just say, hey, I listened to this podcast about this guy talking about expectations, and I've been living with expectations, and I shouldn't. You can't have them from your friends. You can't have them from anybody, because you're going to be let down and disappointed literally every minute of every day of your life.
I absolutely love that. So there's so many things in here. So number one, I do believe, the 90 days, we know to really change a habit, you need 90 days. I don't care if they say 21, 30. Yeah.
66. Yep. You're right.
Yeah. I mean, it just got to be ingrained in it. Number one. The second piece you said is that there is, as you are in your transformation, your wife sees the results, right? And now she goes, well, kind of like, I want what he has, because that is good. It's good for me. So now she's getting maybe mindset curious, if we call it that way. And so that raises a whole level of awareness in a relationship. And what I find important is what you said, Jay, is that it's not just all business, and it's never just all business. It is how you show up in your regular life that dictates kind of how you show up in business. I never understood how people say, well, I'm a different person at work. It's like, how does it even work? I mean, you have like, are you Jekyll and Hyde or something like that? So I like the consistency that you talk about to become the person you want to be, and then carry that sort of forward. So let's talk about this importance of family. And you said at the beginning of our interview that it wasn't always like that. So how has having a family, a wife, kids, changed how you look at business and strategy and what you want to achieve?
Well, that's a great question. One thing I want to say though, back to what you said, because you're a great listener and you take in information really well. So I have to say that this is really enjoyable to talk to someone like you. But one of the things about I told you at the beginning I want to impact lives, and I feel like living with my wife and my kids and my stepson, like those are the lives I want to impact the most. And how I do that is by example, by being that example. And my wife now, journals, and she reads every day, and she works out every day, and she sees that change. And for people listening, like if you want people to change around you, don't ask them to change, be the example and let them see the transformation, because they're going to be like, okay, maybe I need to do what he's doing if he's become like that. So I'm glad that you picked up on that, because that's what's happening in my house, and like that's who I want to impact the most. But what's changed, and I call it harmony. I don't believe in balance. I don't think there is a such thing as balance, because life is a roller coaster. My whole perspective in life is I want to design my day and design my life. I don't want to live on other people's terms. I don't want to live 9 to 5. I'm going to start my day at 11 o'clock. That's when I start my day, and I'm going to end my day at 6 o'clock every single day. But between 11 and 6, I'm going to be very, very productive. Now, I used to be a guy that was at work from 7 in the morning until 9, 10 o'clock at night. That was not harmony. I wasn't happy. I didn't have any kind of balance in my life whatsoever. I just thought, I don't want family. I don't want kids. What it's done for me, having a family, and why it's changed, is my perspective on life is different. My perspective towards employees is different. So I'll give you an example. For 20 years, I ran a business, and I got irritated when my employees would call in and tell me that they had to stay home because their kid was sick. Irritated. Like, why is your job not a priority? Do you not care about your job? Like, that was my mindset. Didn't have kids. When I had kids, and my daughter, the only request that she had was not to leave her side. She just wanted me to hold her. She just wanted me to be there. And man, I felt like an a-hole to all those people that I had. I never said anything. I was very politically correct to my employees, but I had this disdain and disgust for people that were irresponsible in my mind at the time for their job, because I had a one-track mind, and that was results, profits, and bottom line. That was it. And having a family has changed me as a man, because now I understand when someone says my kid is sick, my first response is,
Stay home.
well, stay home and be with your little girl, be with your little boy, because they need you. Because that look, when I want to walk out of my daughter's bedroom to go get a glass of water, it crushes her soul because I'm leaving for 1 minute. So I never had anybody looking at me like that, as well as, having a wife that I have, that I've never had been in a long-term relationship before, that, you know, needs me to raise these kids. And I used to travel all the time. When I met her, I was traveling every single week. I was speaking, I was doing conventions, I was in my agencies across the state, and I was always gone. But I was used to that. I was used to being on planes and living in hotels. And then getting married with my first daughter, I was gone a lot. And she was a lot closer to my wife, which I did not like. I was like, okay, I'm Papa here, I'm Papa
Yeah.
Bear. I should,
Hello. Yeah.
right? And it was because I was always gone. And then, COVID hit and my daughter was born. And I didn't travel for a year and a half. And to see how close my daughter is now, I'm like, okay, I got to do this different. Like, I need to be here with my family every day. And I've quadrupled my business, not traveling. I've started more businesses, not traveling. And I'm better every single day, on point, more creative and better, because I have my family with me and I'm not wondering at night, looking at my baby's cameras thinking, man, if someone broke in my house right now, what could I do? Nothing. I would just
Wow.
be watching a horror movie. My family, like, those are the thoughts, and now I never have to worry about that, because you know what? I'm not leaving my family side. If I leave, they're going to go with me. So that's why I'm saying, like, it's changed. I would have never thought that. And the man that I've become now, the compassion and empathy that I have for other people and other moms and other dads. And at the start of the show, like, I want to empower people to know that you don't have to have this or that. You can have this and that, and you can have everything. You can have harmony. You can have all the life that you want. You just have to make a decision to do that. And I will tell you, a lot of that's come from that morning routine and realizing what's important in my life. And, what do I want to be known for? Starting all these businesses and being a billionaire, which I will be, or do I want to be known for being the best husband, the best father that raised the best little girls on this planet? Like, for me, that's what I want to be known for. If my day of passing, I want people to say, you know what he cared most about? His family.
That's so powerful. And I felt the emotion. I think that it sounds to me like there was a real transformation. And for those listeners who have children, I'm sure that everybody can relate. For those who do not have children, that is an experience that I certainly wish people have, because it is such a profound, powerful change in you as a human being, because your priorities suddenly, in the first 24 hours when your child is born, how this love explodes out of yourself, and you don't even know it was there before, and you go, oh my God, the baby's not even 24 hours old, and somebody says you have to die for this child, you go, okay, I'm in.
Yeah, I tell you a quick story. My mentor, he's the one that really got me into reading, and he used to take me down to his yacht in the BVI, and we would do these reading and debate things for a week. And he slammed his book shut, and he was like, I need to talk to you about something. And I was like,
Okay.
sounds serious.
Serious, yeah.
And he was like, you need to have kids. And I was
Wow.
like, nope, not doing it. I'm happy, just I'm single, happy. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. I can wake up when I want. I can go to bed when I want. Like, I don't have to answer anybody. Like, you are not convincing me to have kids. Not going to happen. He's like, you can't miss this. He's like, I'm telling you, it will change you. And I was like, I'm good. I don't want to change. I'm good just like this. I don't need any change.
Yeah, right.
And, thank God that he had that conversation, but I wasn't looking for it. I was dead set that I was good the way I was. And then I met my wife. And when I met my wife, within the first 10 minutes, she was, we connected. She could tell we were connecting. And she was like, listen, I just got to tell you, I want kids in the future and I want to get married in the future. And I was like, well, I got to tell you, I'm not your man. I was like, I don't want kids and I don't want to get married. I'm completely fine like this. If you want to hang out and date, we can date for 30 years, but I don't believe in marriage and I don't want to have kids. And for whatever reason, she stuck around, and I fell in love. And it's really, really hard to describe what you just said. When he said it would change me, I was like, yeah, it's going to change. I'm going to have to get up. I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to, be living around. But anybody listening, you really can't put words to it. It's just, there's no amount of words or any words that would describe the love you have for your child. And you put it perfect in 24 hours. You're just like, I mean, you want to talk about motivation. You want to talk about drive. You want to talk about a strategy. Like kids will give you a strategy right away if you didn't have kids and then you have kids. Like, so it's just a love that, listen, I am in love with my wife. I love my wife more than anything in this whole entire world. But the love you have for your kids is just something that's unexplainable. And the crazy thing is it grows every day. It like gets more and more and more and more. Like you're like, I can't love you. I love you more than I did yesterday. Even when they're bad, you still love them more. So I know this is not what this podcast is about, but I'm telling you, that's, for me, my children and my wife changed me for the better. I'm thankful that she came into my life, because I would not be who I am today without her.
That's beautiful. To the moon and back, right?
Yes.
So, yes. So this was really powerful. I actually like that we went in a little bit of a different direction, because to me, having now a 29-year-old that's about to get married, for me, this is an experience I want to share with the world, to say business is not just business. Business is, you call it harmony. Business are so many different elements that have to work together for you to really, truly be happy. And as entrepreneurs, and especially what happened in COVID and how the world has changed how we view family. Thank God that this is a unique moment in time where, when we really activate what's important to us, our impact just scales up exponentially, because we finally doing the things that really matter.
Totally agree.
Yeah.
That's
so
beautiful.
For someone who wants to know more about you, where can they find you? And check out the beautiful family on Instagram, I have to say. So we'll put all of that in the show notes, but go ahead. How can we find you?
Well, you can find me at Jay Adkins 3. You can find me Jay Adkins on Facebook on the fan page. We're actually in the process of, it's down right now, but jadkins.com and the successpsyche.com, which is a book that I just wrote that will be in stores May 17th. It's called Success Psyche. And it's also on pre-order anywhere you buy your books in 18,000 different places. So you can go to Barnes and Nobles, you can go to Books A Million, wherever you buy your books, or you can pre-order on Amazon as well. And that's about it. I'm on all the social platforms, Jay Adkins. You can find me anywhere, and send me a DM. I'd love to hear from you and see if you want to know about anything that, how I do things in life. I get a lot of questions that I create content from, and answer the questions on exactly how I manage those things in my life and my business with my friends. There's all kinds of people that have questions on how to handle things, and I'm happy to handle all those things.
Thank you so much. That was really amazing. I'm so excited that you were part of my show. And so I'm going to just do a really quick recap so people know what we talked about. So in our interview, Jay Adkins, and on the Business Growth Architect Show, we talk about not just the strategy for business, but how important a strategy for yourself, for clarity of mind, for starting the day strong and undistracted is. Jay's going to give you some pointers specifically on how to start the day right, and you can modify that any way you want. And then we dove into a very beautiful topic about the harmony that family can bring to you and how that can help you quadruple your business. And that's it for us for today. Thank you so much for listening and watching. This is Beate Gillette, your host for the Business Growth Architect Show. And goodbye. And that's it for us today. Thank you for listening and watching the Business Growth Architect Show. I enjoyed having you here. And for accountability, just take one of the strategies that you have heard, one thing that you can implement in your business immediately. Please leave comments. Don't forget to like and share this show. And if you have any questions about business, please put them in the comments. We are here for you. We're here to support you and help you to grow, build, and scale your own business. For more advice, please check out our website in the show notes below. Thank you again. This is Beate.